any of these skills like data science, machine learning, AI, all of these are certainly very beneficial for the roles that are there today, and then they are certainly growing as well in number. So yeah, it is a huge plus if you go for these things. The programs now, like, they have a lot of tools to actually help students. Like, they will have a dedicated, some of them, they will have a dedicated career person who will look at your resume, go through that, talk to you, what do you actually want to do, help you build your answers. So when you talk to or if you present yourself, basically you're just selling your skills to the recruiters.
Hi, you guys. Hope you all are doing wonderful. And I hope that you have been making use of all the content that we have put out on our Great Learning YouTube channel about your study abroad journey. So, again, if you have not checked out those videos, please go to Great Learning YouTube channel and check out all the study abroad related podcasts that we have created just for you. In addition to that, you can also check out the link in the description box. That link has the details of all the study abroad programs that we offer in innovative hybrid format. All right. So that's for you. And today, again, we are here to share some more insights with you from another wonderful speaker from a top university in the US. I have Mr. Ajitesh Mehta along with me, who is a Carnegie Mellon graduate and is currently working in New York with as a quantitative analyst with Weiss Multi-Strategy Advisers. So welcome, Ajitesh. Thank you so much for spending time with us. It's too early in the morning for you, but you still agreed to do this for our learners. Thank you so much for that.
Hi, thank you for a nice introduction. I'm really looking forward to our interaction. Obviously, I'm happy to be here and to be talking to you and answer any questions anyone may have.
Great. So let's begin with your journey, Ajitesh. I'm really curious to know that you did your PGDM over here in India from IIM Indore. You have remained a really good student throughout your life. After that, what encouraged you to go for your master's degree in the US and that too in computational finance?
Honestly, when I was doing my MBA, I never thought I'm going to do another master's after that. But when I started working, I was working for a top finance bank in India, in a treasury role. When I was working there, a lot of my work part was more geared towards the sales aspect of finance, not more towards the technical aspect. I read more about it, attended one of their sessions, posted one of the colleges that actually has this program. And I felt like I will be very happy after doing this. And it really fits with my background. So I had my undergrad in computer engineering and then master's in MBA in finance. So I felt like it will be a best of both worlds if I do this. And rightly so. I mean, in this program, I learned a lot about the math aspect of how options are priced, and not just options, anything. But also at the same time, there was a lot of data science and machine learning courses as well. And they really helped and geared me towards the career that I've chosen and all the work that I've done so far. So, yeah.
As a quantitative analyst at Weiss, your work includes a lot of data science or analytics for that matter
Yes, I mean,
in your university through your program.
100%. I mean, I feel like 80-90% of my work includes programming, and a lot of it is data science oriented. We use all sorts of statistical tools that we have to create algorithms to trade. Everything we do is electronic, so we need to have that background of programming to be able to do that, to be able to code and to understand how the systems work. At the same time, we also need the statistical background to be able to implement that via the coding part. So yeah, yes, I use a lot of machine learning data science in my work. And it's been the case in all of my work so far since I graduated.
Nice. So, Ajitesh, I have a question for you. Of course, you did your engineering before in computer science, and then you went for computational, finance, and then programming was part of your curriculum. Perhaps it wasn't that difficult for you to pick up programming because you already had a background in computer science engineering, right? But for the other students, and as you know, in India, there are a multitude of BCom graduates who are either looking for a career in fintech, perhaps, or other fields of finance, gaining domain knowledge, and then they want to further, gain the technological advancement also, or that edge, so that they can go for the new age jobs in the same domain. How difficult or easy for these students it's going to be to pick up programming if they choose to go for computational finance or programs related to this?
I do not think it is difficult. I mean, um, I would say now, I mean, the courses, whichever course they opt for, they generally either will mention you need have a prerequisite that, hey, you need to have minimum this kind of curriculum or a background in programming. For example, we talk on programming. If you don't have it, they'll also mention like you should go through this course or do this and do that. Or if not, even a lot of courses they start from the very basics and then they go from bottom up. They should be able to catch up to those things. I mean, for example, in my course, I mean, yes, I didn't have a background in computer engineering, so it was pretty easy for me to pick up all the programming aspect. However, most of my classmates were actually had a background in mathematics. So for them, the math part was very strong, whereas the programming part they had to work on. But then the courses we had, they all really helped them. And now, I mean, everyone is doing more or less, I mean, pretty well with the programming stuff that they learned. So yeah, I think it's not that difficult to pick it up.
First of all, how did you come about choosing, Carnegie Mellon for yourself? And then how easy or difficult was it to get accepted at Carnegie Mellon? Because from what I know, I think acceptance rate is much, much low at Carnegie Mellon.
Yeah, I mean, it is a very prestigious program. So how I got to know about it was, I mean, I learned through my peers, through my friends. I spoke with some of my family friends in the US and who are working in finance field, took their opinion. That's when I found out about the financial engineering program as such. Then I did a lot of research online, talked to people about which are the top programs. There's one forum, at least for this kind of programs, called quantnet.com. I refer to that forum. They have some kind of ranking, or I don't trust ranking fully for everything, but they had some kind of criteria in terms of how old the program is, what is the size of the alumni base, what is the quality of the professors over there, what kind of the things they teach, and also like what are the job aspects after you graduate from the program. So looking at all of this, Carnegie Mellon was at the top. It was in fact ranked number one in their ranking, and rightly so. I mean, then after that, all of these programs hold some orientation sessions, some like sessions online to actually talk to people, talk to prospective students and tell them about the program. So I attended each one of them for the programs that I was interested in. I remember I attended one for Carnegie Mellon. And then, in fact, UC Berkeley at that time actually held a session in New Delhi in person back in 2014. So I went there, attended that. And in that session, they actually offered a resume review as well. I remember. So I submitted my resume and then they evaluated, and they at the spot they were mentioning like, oh, I'll be a strong candidate if I want to apply. And that was very encouraging. So that's how I went about applying for in total 4 programs, and then I picked Carnegie Mellon. I got accepted to 2 of them, and then I picked Carnegie Mellon as my top choice.
Ajitesh, you also gained some experience over here in India before you moved for your master's, right? You worked with ICICI, if I'm not wrong. All right.
Correct.
How that experience was helpful for you when you were doing your master's? Whatever you gained as as your exposure through your work in India, was that helpful in the classroom?
So I mean, I got exposed in detail of how those actually work in real life, how to pitch those products to corporates, what benefit they have from actually using those. And there are a lot of differences between what the bookish terms are for all these derivatives and what in reality what happens in the market when you actually buy and sell those. So after having exposed to all of those, I mean, I think I was very well set for the program. I mean, I had an idea when we were talking about those in the classroom, what we're talking about and how those are actually priced. I mean, it just all the whole jigsaw puzzle was just fitting into each other. No, I mean, I was just saying like if anyone who doesn't have work experience also doesn't need to necessarily be demotivated that hey, I need to work a little bit before applying. I would say a lot of my classmates did not have work experience. I mean, and then like I said, I mean, people generally help each other. That's the kind of atmosphere environment you are entering. It's not just about what you learn in the classroom, but also outside the classroom. So I mean, people help each other, and then they all pick it up eventually. So everything is the skills can be transferred. I mean, it's fine. It is certainly doable if you don't have experience as well.
Right.
And that was my point.
So talking about jobs, Dish, once you were towards the end of your master's degree, how did you go about gaining an internship or then later converting it into a full-time job? How did it go for you?
Um, so for me in specific, so this program, another reason why I picked that was it had a strong career center. So which means like for example in India, we generally a lot of programs they will have a placement committee, and that's what we used to call it. And then they will approach the companies and they will invite them over to the campus, and then they will hold interviews. So we had something similar. Um, our career center was pretty strong. There was a dedicated staff oriented only towards helping the students, like building a resume, how to pitch your resume and stuff, and then at the same time also inviting the companies, talking to them, and building relationships. So that was one thing that really helped me. The career center itself really um, uh, honed my resume, and then made sure that I look um, I look great in front of the recruiters. At the same time, there were companies coming and they were pitching their roles, and that's how I actually found my internship. All the companies that came to the campus, and I interviewed with them, and they liked me, I liked them, and so that's when that's how I went about. However, that's not the only way that people find roles. Here, a lot of emphasis is actually on networking as such. So what that means is like the companies also want good candidates. They will host networking sessions, or as such, like they might even like hold presentations for the campus, and then they invite people to like approach them and talk with them, explain what they do, explain what they want, and that's how they will also invite them for interviews. Or like you go to any networking session, talk there, and say like, "Hey, I'm looking for a role, interest."
Ajitesh, I speak to a lot of students who are either coming from finance background or are having aspirations to enter finance domain, right? And these students, they are right now in at a place where they want to upskill in the areas of data science or artificial intelligence or machine learning. You had already mentioned that you had learned a lot of it in your computational finance program. But like, at this point of time, I find many students who either they definitely want to upskill themselves in these arenas because that is what is required as of today. But at the same time, they go through this dilemma where if I, my background is finance, but then right now, if I delve into data science, will I be leaving my entire background behind? Well, what are your thoughts on this, please?
I mean, I certainly think data science is extremely helpful, especially in the field of finance. Like, for example, like if you are doing something fundamental finance oriented, you need to create models. Um, and then for that purpose, you will be requiring a lot of data. And I mean, a lot of people in MBA, for example, what we used to learn was do it in Excel. But there are much better tools that we can use and automate things as well. So data science, having a background, having some foundation in that, you can actually easily build a code or algorithm. And also, like, for example, not just fundamental, like you have now so much of alternative data, like credit card data, and all of that. And how would you process that? That all information, that all can only be done using some data science or machine learning tools, for example. And you can easily build a model and include those alternative data options into your model, and then have a better prediction. So all of these things can be enabled through data science concepts. I mean, so I think certainly it is very, very beneficial for anyone going in finance. At the same time, I mean, I don't think anyone should be worried of whether they can actually pick up data science skills or not. I mean, um it is both ways. I mean, you certainly can get at least the bookish knowledge of finance through any of the um any of the ways that you want to go at. I remember back in the day when I was a computer science graduate, um, NSC used to hold some certifications in finance. I remember I took 3 or 4. They had very nice um, guides that you can study for the certification exams, and that actually really, like, I think that was my first exposure to the field of finance. That's how I learned how options are traded in the market, what kind of portfolio management people do, so all those kind of things. So yeah, I mean, um, I believe like you can get the bookish knowledge by doing the elective or taking a course online. So when I was a computer science graduate, when I was still doing undergrad, I remember I had taken a few certification courses of NSC. They used to offer that. I don't know if they still offer that. I think it's to call it NBME or something like that. And so with that, what they used to give was they used to give some guidebook that you can study for the certification exam. So that was actually like my first exposure to field of finance. I learned how the options trading actually works, how people manage their portfolios and stuff like that. So very helpful. But I believe like finance is not that difficult of a field in general. People can pick up the skills if they want to through whichever courses they want to pick up. There are so many options available now. However, like I said earlier, the when you actually join a finance a work, when you do stuff in finance, I mean, be it in trading or in portfolio management or whichever field you want to work in, you do get a lot of exposure. There are a lot of differences in what you learn from the books and what happens in reality. Like for example, like when people, I mean, I don't want to get too much into details, but like you can read in books like zero cost option structures and stuff like that. But in reality, you learn like there's no such thing as zero cost. There are a lot of things I need to consider while entering into a trade and things like that. So there are a lot of intricacies that go into it, but at the same time, you can at least get a good idea of how things work through the courses. Yes.
Understood. Thank you. Also, you went for your internship with ITG, if I'm not wrong, and that's based in New York.
Yes. So
So you were studying in Pennsylvania. So how was this journey from Pennsylvania to New York? I know it's not far, but then, how did you pick up an organization, or how did they choose you from there?
so that was, I think, one of the perks of choosing a program on the East Coast. It was not that difficult to travel to New York. We, in fact, actually have a campus just for our program in New York as well, a small campus. So our classrooms are actually divided between Pittsburgh and New York. So I was in the Pittsburgh class, but then for recruitment purposes, we did travel to New York. However, now, I mean, that was 2015. Now things have changed. Everything can happen remotely as well. I mean, people conduct interviews remotely, even we do when you want to hire. So yeah, I mean, I had an interview with them. I applied. I had an interview. They liked me in the first round. Then we had multiple rounds after that, written down as well. And that's how I secured the internship. And then actually, I mean, this internship, I really liked what I was doing there, and they really liked what I did as well. So they offered me a full-time role, and that's how I got my full-time job as well with ITG.
And since then, you have been in New York.
Yeah, I've been in New York since then. That was my first exposure in New York, and then all of my subsequent jobs have also been in New York.
So, New York, as we all know, that it's a very exciting place to be. And many of the students that I speak to, especially freshers, when they think of USA, they think of being in New York, right? And so what happens is that they feel that, I need to be in New York to gather any career opportunities that, I can grab perhaps, any good opportunities. And they feel that I need to be there as a student. I need to begin my journey in the New York to be able to gain those internships and then further convert them into a full-time job, or I need to be in Silicon Valley. So this is the mindset that many of the students think about right now. So, and New York is an expensive place from what I know. So is it perhaps a most effective or economic idea to be in New York as a student? Or if you can be somewhere else as a student and you would still be able to gain these opportunities either by traveling post your degree or accessing them initially remotely and then you move.
Well, I think you touched the right pain point. New York certainly is very expensive, and in the last 2 3 years, it has become even more expensive. I mean, that was actually the reason why, when I had the option to pick New York versus Pittsburgh, and for my program, I picked Pittsburgh because that was certainly more reasonable versus New York staying there. So I think certainly in today's age, I don't think you need to be in New York to actually have access to all these opportunities. I mean, I feel the hybrid format is actually very, very, now that it sounds to me, it's very, very beneficial economically because you save the cost on actually being here, which is very expensive and you're not earning any money. At the same time, with hybrid, you're actually working as well. So you're actually making money as well as like taking your time for the setting and stuff. So, and getting experience as well. So I mean, I think it's a win-win in every aspect. And I don't think you have to be here to actually get a job, for example. Like I mentioned earlier, there is a way to network remotely as well. And LinkedIn, for example, you can reach out to people in the field or the kind of job or kind of role they're doing that you aspire to do and talk to them, have a word, what they do. You can get exposure to that through that way as well. So yes, it is certainly um, possible and actually better to to network remotely and to actually you will definitely save a lot of money by not being here. So yeah.
Right. And then most of these students are also going for education loans. So thinking about return on investment is really important because, you know, the earlier you can become debt free, the better it is for you. Then you can perhaps start building your life in the US. Now it's been what, 7 8 years since you are working in the US, and I'm sure that, you know, you also would have been contributing towards building your own team, right? You just mentioned when we were talking earlier that, you know, you handle your own team. So when you recruit people in your team, Ajitesh, what kind of skills do you look for in them?
um so I think one skill that I mean, even though it's a very quantitative, I mean, a very finance heavy role that we do, but at the same time, one thing that I look for is like good programming foundation and good programming knowledge. If the person has good skills in terms of programming, they certainly, not necessarily in data science, like if they understand how code works, if they can code, that is certainly like number one prerequisite for me. Um, Having data science exposure is also a big, it's not I mean, it is certainly a prerequisite as well, like having some kind of exposure in how you handle data, how you model that, how you display it, how you visualize it. All of those things are required because, I mean, you need to visualize the performance of your strategy if you're creating one, or if you're trying to build a report, you need to have those skills as well. So those two are very important. Um, I mean, certainly having ideas about how, like domain knowledge of finance of any particular asset that you're trying to like interview for, like if you're trying to, um, if you'll be trading options, futures, single stock equities, like things like these, you need to know how things work there, having some idea. And I think having a broader knowledge and idea about how general economic environment is, what kind of economic data points influences what, like all like macroeconomics idea knowledge, just general knowledge of what these things are also very beneficial. And at the same time, I mean, I do look at some soft skills as well, because in the end, it is all about teamwork. If you're able to communicate your ideas, if you're able to work as a team with the remaining team, those are very, very top prerequisites as well. So yeah.
As a fresher, you do not even know in what way teams function, and what your responsibility is more than the task which is given to you. You will learn all these things with experience. So when you have to recruit a fresher, or what kind of tips you would like to share, or your advice to the freshers at how they should be building these soft skills along with the skills that program is teaching them to be able to actually grab those opportunities that they are aspiring.
Yeah, I mean, even when you are in college or master's or whichever program, you would have opportunities to do projects, to work on research. So through that, when you may do a project with a team, with a set of people and things like that, that will certainly show how you performed and how you delivered in the team, and I'll get some idea about whether the person actually is a team worker or not, what kind of things they did. But they did everything by themselves. I mean, that's certainly seems. I mean, also, I think there are a lot of other extracurricular things they do as well in college that they can participate in after college hours and stuff. Um, that also will certainly give an idea about how this person is in terms of how the soft skills are.
So this is about when you'll have to go for the job interviews. But also, Ajitesh, as you know, you went to one of the top universities.
First, you need to understand like what kind of programs you are applying for and what kind of candidates they look for. You attend their orientation sessions. They'll talk more about that, so you get a hint of what kind of things they're looking for and stuff. And you highlight those things in your resume and personal statement. That's, I think, one of the things that people should be doing. At the same time, I mean, having some kind of story about what they have done in the past, what they're currently doing, and how that really fits into what they want to do in the future, and how this program will benefit them in getting there. So having some direction in mind in general will help, and working towards that. And also, I mean, anything like any kind of projects you do, any research papers you do, that certainly is like, it will really highlight and your resume will outshine if any of those things are there on your resume. Anything that will stand out, make you look different from others in the kind of field that you actually the field you want to pursue, that will certainly benefit as well. Yes. So yeah.
Also, and because we have a team of counselors, and we speak to thousands of students from India who are either looking for education in US or Germany. Now, these students, I understand their concern. I mean, amidst all the news which keeps coming, with respect to the visas, with respect to the deportation of the students from the US, and then everybody is investing a lot of money and a lot of time, and they do look for some sort of a guarantee, for the lack of a better word. So I often get questions around that: what's the guarantee of my visa, or what's the guarantee for my job in the US? What we tell them, as for our research, that you need to do a number of visas which are getting released for the students. For Indian students from US Embassy is a huge number, more than 80,000 visas a year. But then, what we tell the students, that you need to definitely find a program for yourself to justify it at the time of your visa interview. Like in your case, I asked you this question in the beginning, that why did you choose computational finance? And you did tell me that, you did gain some exposure through your work. And, you did some research with respect to where the career opportunities are and what I need to learn to reach those opportunities or those job roles. And this is how you went about for yourself. In addition to that, the other question that I often get is, what is my job guarantee? Which is why I speak to learners such as yourself who had gone to US, much earlier. And then right now, many universities are offering a very elaborate assistance when it comes to careers, right? But I'm sure that when you had gone, there was a very basic assistance available. Even then, just by the skills that you gained and the additional activities that you participated in, and the right ways to go about, which is networking, which is finding a good internship, you could still, find yourself a really good flourishing career. So would you have some, thoughts to share on this, to definitely assure those students who are slightly worried at this point of time before taking such a big leap in their life?
Yes, job search is literally like a stressful aspect. It is literally on the mind of everyone who comes here because it is like you had mentioned, return on investment. You are investing a lot of money and time into this, so you want to make sure that you get some adequate returns out of it. You can certainly like work on like the things like you mentioned, networking and applying online things like that. But at the same time, the programs now, like they have a lot of tools to actually help students. Like they will have a dedicated, some of them, they will have a dedicated career person who will look at your resume, go through that, talk to you, what do you actually want to do, help you build your answers. So when you talk to or if you present yourself, basically you're just selling your skills to the recruiters. And then at the same time, you need to approach the people whom you actually want to work with. Like for example, when you network remotely or in person, you want to have an idea which kind of roles you want to apply for and what these kind of people, if the people, find the people who actually do something similar that you want to do and talk to them, learn what they do day to day, how a day in their life looks like, and then build a relationship with them. And then at the same time, also express interest in working with them or working for them. So those are kind of some of the things that you need to do. There is no shortcut, unfortunately, but at the same time, you can certainly do a lot of homework and make yourself ready for this process. I certainly feel there are a lot of opportunities, especially in the US, where it comes to finance, technology, any of those roles. You need to have, I think, for especially technology roles, what I can say is that you need to have the concepts should be clear. You need to have the adequate skills, and that should be more than enough to actually land a good role, provided you can show your interest also for that role and show some of your soft skills as well during the process. But I think focusing on that part is also will make it much easier for you as well to land a good role, in my opinion. In finance, certainly you require a lot more, like portrayal of soft skills. You need to network a little bit with the people, and show that you're interested, show that you are a team player, they also want to know what kind of person you are because they'll be working with you day and night. So they want to be able to have that kind of connection with you, so to hire you. So those things are also important. So yeah, but I think you will learn this. You will by talking to people who actually are in the field, and also when you apply for a program, you will know what kind of tools they offer to help with this and what their placement statistics are also. So that certainly is a saying on how easy or difficult it will be to find a job.
Thank you so much, Ajitesh. But I'm sure that, even choosing a top university such as Carnegie Mellon doesn't really, they do not really give you a job guarantee when you enroll in the program. Nobody would, even, right? But at the same time, any good university will create a support system for the students to make use of. They will create enough tools for them to, pick up and make use of networking opportunities, make use of resume review opportunities, bring in companies on the campus like a career fair for you to be interacting with them. In addition to that, you said in the beginning that you also chose computational finance because you did see jobs growing in that sector, and of course, it was the additional advantage that you did have some exposure to it before, which is why you did such a research. And if I'm picking up the points correctly, you did mention that there is a lot of scope in machine learning, artificial intelligence, and for data science. You mentioned this is one of the major prerequisite for most of the analytics jobs as of today. Whichever sector you choose, finance definitely, but then even other sectors. So perhaps the students, please correct me if I'm wrong, but the students who are choosing to go for their masters in these arenas, data analytics, business analytics, data science, are definitely setting themselves up for success. Is that right to say?
I would certainly say yes. There are, like you said, there are a lot of opportunities and it's only growing. in these kind of fields. I mean, right now, everyone's talking about generative AI. So I mean, certainly like having some kind of AI exposure is beneficial because I think a lot of people are trying to understand what exactly is AI. A lot of companies, not necessarily in tech, but like even in finance, like, oh, how do I use this in my day-to-day role? There are a lot of applications now like coming out at a very rapid pace, but to be able to understand how these work, to actually use those, and to understand that the whole how these things actually work in the background is certainly beneficial. So I mean, any of these skills like data science, machine learning, I mean AI, all of these are certainly very beneficial for the roles that are there today, and then they are certainly growing as well in number. So yeah, it is a huge plus if you go for these things.
That's very hopeful to hear. Thank you so much. And again, thank you so much, Ajitesh, for joining us this very early morning of yours. It has been really, really an insightful interaction. And I'm sure all the other students who are looking forward to go to good universities will be able to pick up a lot. Thank you again.
Well, thank you. It was all my pleasure. Thank you for all the nice words, and it was great talking to you as well. Thank you.
And for you all, you understood, you gained a lot of information. Doesn't matter which domain you are targeting for yourself, but you did understand how finance is growing, how ML is growing, how data science, and you know what needs to be done. If you do not, then you can certainly click on the link which is there on in the description box. That link will lead you to all the programs that we have got in similar arenas, that is data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, data analytics, business analytics. We have a variety of things. And once you go to this link, you will also be able to schedule a call with one of our program advisors who will be able to map the right program as per your aspirations as well as your background. So please do not delay. Do it already because there are applications open. Universities are collecting applications at this point of time for summer as well as for fall intake. So get in touch with us as soon as possible. Thank you so much. And for the rest of the information, again, I would mention that you can go to Great Learning's YouTube channel and you will be finding a lot of insights over there from the other podcasts that we have created with other speakers. Thank you so much.